So I'm looking at a NetSuite purchase order. As you can see, I've got the vendor details here. It's been approved by my supervisor. I've got 50 pounds of fertilizer on this particular purchase order at $5 a pound. I've got an expected receipt date as well as a vendor promised date as well. Now, in some instances in the agriculture industry, there's a requirement for some form of prepayment. So the vendor has requested in order to fulfill this order, I need to actually submit some form of payment. This is where NetSuite's prepayment functionality really comes in handy. So from the purchase order itself, I can go ahead and click on the Enter Prepayment button. And from here, I can enter the prepayment details. So I can go ahead and say which particular bank account it's coming from, as well as then entering a specific dollar amount. So if I wanted to be able to say have a 25% deposit on this particular order, I can go ahead and enter $250 here and delete any irrelevant information. That's actually going to create a transaction for me, a prepayment transaction, whereby the funds will be transferred or submitted to the vendor, and we'll actually be able to track all of that great information in NetSuite itself. So let's go ahead and save this. So back on my purchase order now, if I go to the related records, what you'll notice is that there's a vendor prepayment of $250 on this purchase order. I also have the ability to submit the purchase order directly from this system itself. So if I wanted to email this to the vendor, I could go ahead and just simply click Save an Email. And once that's been emailed, under my Communication tab, you'll see here's one that I created earlier. This is actually emailed directly out of NetSuite to the vendor in the form of a PDF or HTML, whatever you. So I'm back on my NetSuite dashboard now, and I'm logged in now as the warehouse operator. So we've submitted the PO to our vendor. We've also created a prepayment of $250. Now we wait a couple of days, and the goods have actually arrived at our warehouse. The warehouse operator would open up the pallet, open up the package, and we'd see there a packing list with that specific purchase order number. At this time, the warehouse operator could simply enter the purchase order number up here in the global search, or alternatively use the reminders here to actually go ahead and see all of the orders that need to be received. So I'll click on 21 orders to receive. So NetSuite has now showed me all the purchase orders that are in a pending receipt status that I can now receive into my warehouse. I can go ahead and click on receive over here. And from here, I have the ability to enter a different quantity. So if I didn't receive 200, I could do 175 as an example for a partial receipt. I have the ability to do all of that as well. So let's go ahead and save this. Now back on our purchase order, you can see that the status is pending billing partially received. That's because down here you can see I've got 175 that it's been received out of my 200. Yet to be billed is 175 there. I'm now logged in as our controller. We've gone through the purchase order, the prepayment, the receipt process. At some point, our supplier or vendor is going to provide a vendor bill. We may get in via an email. So I can go ahead and, again, use my global search to type in the purchase order number and pull up that document. Alternatively, again, I can use my purchase orders to bill through the reminders portal. And once you're here, you can see a list of all the purchase orders that are in the pending billing status. I'll go ahead and click on Bill and Submit. The vendor bill has been pre-populated with the relevant information from the purchase order. I can now compare the vendor bill to what was actually sent by the vendor and confirm all the details. And what I'm looking for is to make sure that the quantities and the pricing match. So notice here that we've only got the one line item for 175, not the 200. I want to make sure that we actually are billed for 175, not 200, at the rate of 5, and this is my total here. Now, if there was a mismatch between what NetSuite provided as well compared to the vendor bill, I could update this vendor bill with the details from the vendor, and that would trigger a three-way match. Now, the three-way match would make sure that the vendor, the purchase order price matches the bill, and then the item receipt also matches the bill as well. So all those checks and balances are embedded within NetSuite here. Let's go ahead and hit save. Now we have our bill. We have a bill total of 875, but let's have a look at the related records. You can see actually what's automatically happened is that vendor prepayment that we applied on the purchase order has netted against the vendor bill in the form of $250. And if I go ahead and make a payment on this bill, you'll notice that the outstanding amount is actually $875 less the $250. So our amount due here is actually $625. So NetSuite will take care of all the prepayments and the applications.